Very well. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Call to order the Tuesday, October 13th, 2020 Board of County Commissioners Business Meeting. And if you had joined us on the auto portion of the previous meeting, we had done the pledge. So if everybody's okay, we'll forego the pledge again. Move right into our request from Mr. Ingalls for certification of our agenda.
Mr. Chair, my office has reviewed all items on today's agenda, and they all meet legal approval. On the consent agenda, item 3L, as in Lance, has been removed. You do not need to hear that item today.
Thank you, Mr. Lance Ingalls. We do have a quorum for our meeting. All three commissioners are present. Does any commissioner have a disclosure for any item on our agenda today?
I have none, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And I have none. Thank you.
I have none. Moves us into item number 2, our citizens or organizational comments. If there's anyone in the room or in the listening audience who would like to address the board regarding any item that is not on either the consent or the regular agenda, please feel free to come forward or to speak up. Seeing no one in the room, Ms. Dunning, anyone online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no outside attendees.
Very well, thank you, everyone. We'll move on to our regular agenda item. Oh, excuse me. I'll bring the consent agenda back to the commissioners for any motion and or discussion.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve the requests in all items A through K of the consent agenda. Item L has been pulled from the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor state aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes. Moves us now into our regular agenda item. This is the 2020-2021 contract for school resource officers and a YES officer between the Douglas County School District, RE1, and the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County on behalf of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Presenting for staff from the Sheriff's Office.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
And
My name is Robert Rotherham. I'm a lieutenant with Douglas County Sheriff's Office, standing in for Captain McCarty, who wasn't able to be here today. And today we are asking the Commissioners' approval for the intergovernmental agreement with the Douglas County School District regarding school resource officers and a YES officer. Since 2003, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has provided SROs to the Douglas County School District with the cost of salaries and benefits shared equally. This new agreement outlines in a more detailed way the contract language in regards to the scope of services for the school resource officers and the cost sharing amounts for 1 sergeant, 1 corporal, 20 SROs, and 1 YES officer who function assigned to the Douglas County schools.
Lieutenant Rotterdam, I apologize. I didn't place your name there, and I didn't want to say it wrong. So thank you, sir.
That's fine, Commissioner.
Any questions for Lieutenant Rotterdam or Sheriff's Office regarding the SRO YES officer agreement?
Thank you, Lieutenant, for this presentation. This might be minutia, but I'm always interested in details. So last year, when we were discussing and approved all the additional SROs, the talking point was that the Sheriff's Office had been providing SROs to the school district since 1988. And the cover sheet today says 2003. So do you know which date is right or why there's 2 different dates involved?
Yes, Commissioner, I'm more than sure we had SROs prior to 2003, although that is when I began with Douglas County Sheriff's Office. But I believe the difference is the cost sharing equally, the equity sharing of the cost of the SROs occurred since 2003, or at least that is the document that we have on record that we can locate as far back as that goes as 2003. So as I know, we had SROs prior to that date. We don't have any documentation that we can find currently that shows we had cost sharing.
So the cost sharing started in 2003 with the school district. So if we had SROs, and you're saying we did before that date, then the county was paying for them completely? Is that, do we know? You see, the undersheriff is wanting to stand up and talk.
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
Sheriff Cluth.
Commissioners? Yes, Holly Nicholson Cluth here for Sheriff Tony Spurlock. We believe there may have been one previous cost-sharing agreement before 2003, but we have been unable, as well as with the county attorney's office, to find any one prior to 2003. But we believe there was some cost-sharing prior to that based on just documents that we have and so forth. But we did have an officer in the school starting in 1988, and we had several officers by 2003.
Thank you for that clarification. So my point is that the county and the county sheriff's department have been very committed to safety to our kids in school. And so there have been SROs in schools since 1988, and perhaps the county has been funding those completely since we cannot find documentation that there was a cost sharing in place until 2003. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no other question.
And Mr. Chair, I have no questions, but perhaps just a comment and an expression of gratitude to our sheriff's office for the incredible work that you do. Certainly in light of all that's going on this year, we reflect a bit upon the endeavors last year with regard to school security. And as just one commissioner, having the opportunity to tour Douglas County schools, connect with SROs and see the work that they do, it was an incredible honor for me to see the impact that they had, not only from a law enforcement perspective, but from a, I think, relational standpoint with the students that they interact with. It's truly tremendous. So it's an honor to participate in this discussion today.
Thank you, Commissioner. And again, Lieutenant Rotherham, I am the juvenile unit supervisor, and I was on premises of the shooting last year at STEM. And I want to say thank you for the collaboration and the support of the board for, in many ways, to our helping with our response and aftermath. It was a very good working relationship with you guys, so thank you.
Lieutenant Rotterdam, can you just briefly elaborate regarding, actually, this was a school district, but regarding charter schools and private schools in Douglas County and security in those schools? So I know there is some degree, but you don't have to go too much, but because it's not what this item is about, but just elaborate a little bit on those in the other schools.
Sure. So we have 7 high schools within the county that we've also always, or probably since 1988, or until these schools had opened, have had a full-time school resource officer inside the schools. We now currently, as of last year, have 5 SROs at the middle schools, all the Douglas County Sheriff School District middle schools. And we have 33 elementary and charter schools throughout the county. And we have 7 zones where we actually have officers assigned to those to cover those schools for security and to handle calls for service. Any threat assessments, any concerns that the schools have.
And I know we and the citizens really appreciate all the efforts the Sheriff's Office put into protecting any child, any school-aged children in Douglas County. So great gratitude to all of you for that.
Yeah.
With no further questions, I will now open up for public comment on this agenda item. If there's anyone in the room or anyone online who would like to address the board, please come forward. No one in the room? Ms. Dunning, anyone online?
Commissioner, I have no outside attendees.
Very well. We'll now bring it back to the board for any further discussion, questions, and/or motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the 2020-2021 contract for school resource officers and a yes officer between the Douglas County School District RE1 and the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County on behalf of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments? I would just comment that I really do hear from citizens. A nice thing is I don't hear the complaint that we have removed SROs from the schools. What I do hear is, thank you so much for giving us security to we, the families, and to the school children. It is really a heartfelt thanks to them. And thank you to all law enforcement to do what they do to keep our community safe. With that, all in favor state aye.
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 Aye, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And our county manager report was included. I don't believe we have any further county business. I'll ask for commissioner comments.
So I always like to go through the vouchers that accompany the business meeting. And on today's vouchers for October 6th was the $10 million payment to CDOT for our share of the improvements on I-25. And before 1A passed, we were supposed to put $5 million in 2021 and $5 million in 2022. But because the voters understood the importance of 1A and passed it last year, we are able to make our entire $10 million payment to CDOT this month. So I'm really pleased that we have been able to get that done because I-25 is a priority for our citizens. The other payment that I thought was of note was the helicopter payment of $70,500 because we still are in stage 2 fire restrictions and things are very dry. The county still continues to have a helicopter on standby. So if there is a fire that starts, we can immediately start dumping fire on it. So I just want to let the citizens know that there's a lot of good information in those vouchers and it's worth the time to take a look through them. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Layden?
And I have no comments. Thank you.
I will comment on what we, the commissioners, have been working on, and we were required to by the state with a mitigation plan. That had to be in last evening because of the metrics, the dial system the state uses. The county has reached over what's called the incident rate. We've been very fortunate to have the cooperation, support, and championing efforts along with Tri-County Health and Dr. Douglas to try to convince the state to look at severity as one of the metrics. We may be making headway, but we still had to submit our mitigation plan. One thing in that mitigation plan is do everything we can to minimize the transmission of COVID-19. So with that, we know our residents are being very good with masks. We're usually in the mid-90s, mid to high 90s on mask use. That is through Tri-County's examination. We are also very good with the testing. We are probably testing at 1.5 times more than what has been requested. So we're doing phenomenal jobs. And unfortunately, sometimes with that, you can come up more cases. But what we, the commissioners, have discussed and are really pushing forward is the severity. Even though we do have a large number of, more cases, we're roughly in the 30 per day. Over the last 2 weeks, we are not seeing the gross severity in the hospitals. And again, Tri-County Health, Dr. Douglas, has been very good to make that point known. So one of our tasks is to do everything we can to decrease that transmission. We know there's mask wearing, we know there's testing, we know the residents are doing very good with washing hands, social distancing, but one is our communication. And what we understand through the contact tracing and the case investigation is the best information we are given is that it seems to be the transmission is more, could be, we'll say that, could be coming from those you do know and who are around more than those you don't know and could be around. So it's just a message from Tri-County Health. Continue to be aware if you're around family members or small gatherings, continue to follow the precautions as much as necessary because we certainly do not want to see cases increase and most certainly do not want to see severity increase. But we would like to move on and help our businesses and help our public out to be open more and more every day. Thank you for allowing us to make our comments, everyone. At this time, we are adjourned.